Good morning. It is, what is it? 9:45 UTC, almost 10 UTC. On Monday the 20th, Trump's inauguration. It's a New York Stock Exchange holiday. Banks are closed. It's Martin Luther King Day as well. So, massive moves. We'll go through everything. Bitcoin, new all-time high. I know there's a lot of hype around some of the Trump meme coins, which have just done absolutely insane. But focusing mostly on Bitcoin, this week, we do have some data coming in Thursday and Friday. Initial jobless claims are going to be a big one, and then existing home sales as well on Friday. But again, the inauguration itself should take place at 12 Eastern Time US, which puts it about 5 p.m. 1700 UTC today. Looking over across at Bitcoin, yes, nice flush up, and like the nuke last night before the all-time high was amazing. We had a real big increase in longs as we dumped down really hard. The buyback was aggressive, and now we flipped majority short again. So this is awesome to see. Retail majority shorting. What does that tell you? Well, the upside is not ruled out as a continuation, so that's good to see. On the funding rate side, we are getting some massively bearish funding rates. BitMEX still normal, Bybit normal, Binance normal. So that's interesting to say the least. OKX is the major outlier here, both for margin and USDT margin, being extremely high for shorting right now. Looking over the liquidation map as well, we've had the nice little rip up to new all-time highs, right? There was that good liquidity from the weekend stacking above. Realistically, there's no long liquidity to take until you get under 99K. So this upside move was awesome and fast. There's some stuff we can retest, but liquidity-wise, there's plenty of stuff above us to potentially have a continuation. So let's look on the much higher time frame real quick. And the one big thing that sticks out is we have plenty that takes us to 120K. I know that sounds wild, but realistically, until we were to do something drastic like lose 90K and have major retests of lows, it looks like we're closer to the short liquidity above us than anything else. To the downside, there's no real liquidity until you get back down towards 95K of any serious amount. But like I said, if we can just get above this local little hip, get up to about 112 or higher, it starts to get really interesting all the way up to 120, 118. Looking over at the chart for liquidity on the heat map, or for resting order, excuse me, the order book heat map. So the big thing here is, yeah, there's a bit of a all-time high order in about 300 Bitcoin just resting at the all-time high. The sweep last night was glorious. I hope some people caught this. It was, a massive sweep of that long liquidity, big fills on longs, and then a full send into the upside. For right now, a little bit sideways. If there's going to be some local breakdowns, really clean levels, 107.1, that's a really local one, should take you back down to 106 to test this structure here that we did, late last night, late Sunday night. So with that, going over to the chart itself. So the big things here are that we had a big pop above the all-time high. We're now back underneath it. We haven't lost anything. We still have plenty of room for potential continuation. Looking at the volume as well, I just want to bring that up. Massively bullish volume. So this is still good, right? We still want to see massive bullish volume. That is still the play. Overall, we have plenty of liquidity, like I said, above us to take if we want to start grabbing those major liquidations. And to the downside, there's no real liquidity until we start effectively losing the weekly open, but more specifically the Friday structure. So losing 100K would be the major break of trend, basically the low that we did here before we did the new all-time high. Any loss of 100K would probably be the start of a major retracement, probably back towards the December open, the previous weekly, and all the way back towards the yearly, where I expect everything to hold very aggressively. The amount of demand and support for Bitcoin under 100K is only increasing as we're staying above 100. So it all looks good. It looks powerful. In the local stuff, the two things I'm looking for is either we're going to have a squeeze continuation, which is still very likely and possible. If we see some localized lower time frame failures, we want to see some retests back at around 104.5, that weekend structure that we kind of broke out of really hard. And if there's a continuation failure, we should come all the way back down to the daily weekly to potentially continue. So everything is a potential continuation. This goes out the window if we start closing 4 hours underneath the weekly and any loss of 100K. Then we start talking about a major failure, which would then require, any retest to go lower, and we start kind of round topping it back towards structure. So outside of that, it looks good. It looks strong. Retail is majority short, even though the funding rates are quite high. the number one thing is if retail's shorting, the market's going to move up higher. So it looks good in the local stuff. A little bit lower time frame. Yeah, you've got a nice little 1 hour structure here as well, right at 107.1, like I said before. So if you're looking for some really local stuff, this is your little range, 107.1 to 108, call it 108.4. That's your local little range you're interested in. If you see some failures, you might be able to scalp it back down to 106 or potentially back to 104.5. But in general, it looks good. Trump's going to be the president again in a couple of hours, and the markets are reacting very bullishly to it. So that's it. Take it easy. Catch you tomorrow.